Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. NHK reports that an international team of scientists, including researchers from Japan's Kanazawa University and the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan, has observed what they describe as the most chemically primitive star-forming galaxy discovered to date. Using the James Webb Space Telescope, they examined the light from an ultra-faint galaxy named LAP-1b, which originated 13 billion years ago, approximately 800 million years after the Big Bang. This faint galaxy's light was amplified by gravitational lensing, allowing for detailed observation. After over 30 hours of study, the team confirmed that LAP-1b possesses the lowest oxygen concentration among all galaxies ever observed. This finding supports the theory that heavy elements like oxygen were scarce in the early universe, gradually increasing over time. Kanazawa University Associate Professor Nakajima Kimihiko stated that this research is crucial for understanding the formation and accumulation of elements in space that eventually led to human existence. Al Jazeera reports that the Trump administration has publicly offered $100 million in humanitarian assistance to Cuba, strictly conditioned on the island's communist government agreeing to meaningful reforms approved by the U.S. This proposal emerges amid a dire humanitarian crisis in Cuba, characterized by a severe fuel shortage, widespread blackouts, soaring food prices, and struggling public services. The crisis has been significantly exacerbated by a de facto U.S. oil blockade and new sanctions implemented by the Trump administration. While critics condemn the U.S. trade embargo for worsening conditions, the U.S. State Department maintains that Cuba's communist system has only served to enrich elites, condemning its people to poverty, and blames Cuban leadership for standing in the way of critical aid. The U.S. plans to distribute the aid through organizations like the Catholic Church, bypassing the Cuban government. President Trump has also reiterated his aim for regime change in Cuba, previously stating the island is next on his agenda. South Korea's employment rate experienced its first decline in 16 months this April, as reported by UPI, amidst slowing hiring growth. The number of employed individuals aged 15 and older rose by a mere 74,000 from a year earlier, reaching 28.96 million. This marks the smallest increase since December 2024 and the first time this year that job growth fell below 100,000. The overall employment rate decreased by 0.2 percentage points to 63.0%. A significant concern is the persistent weakness in youth employment, with the number of employed people aged 15 to 29 falling by 194,000, extending a decline for the 42nd consecutive month since November 2022. Key sectors like wholesale, retail, accommodation, food services, and manufacturing also saw job losses. Officials attribute this slowdown to several factors, including higher oil prices, weaker consumer sentiment, and ongoing external uncertainties related to the Middle East war. Only health and social welfare services saw substantial job gains, driven by rising care demand and government programs. NBC News reports that the number of people deported from the U.S. to El Salvador nearly doubled in the first 3 months of 2026, reaching 5,033 compared to 2,546 in the same period of 2025. This nearly 98% increase coincides with Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele's positioning himself as a key ally to the Trump administration's priority of accelerating deportations. Global U.S. deportation flights also jumped significantly between 2024 and 2025, according to non-governmental organizations, as the U.S. has stopped regularly releasing its own deportation data. Cesar Rios of Asociación e Agenda Migrante El Salvador, AAAs, stated this confirms a real hardening of the U.S. immigration system. Bukele has notably accepted Venezuelan deportees accused of gang affiliation, imprisoning them in a mega prison, which sparked human rights abuse accusations. El Salvador received $6 million from the U.S. under an agreement to transfer foreign criminals. The article also mentions a mistaken deportation of a Salvadoran citizen with protected status in April, and Bukele's participation in Trump's Shield of the Americas initiative. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hui and her Vietnamese counterpart, Loy Trung, met in Pyongyang and agreed to expand bilateral exchanges and cooperation across various sectors. Yonhap News Agency reported on Thursday, citing the North State media, KCNA. Loy Trung visited North Korea as a special envoy of Vietnamese President To Lam. During their discussions, Minister Cho expressed North Korea's desire to strengthen friendly ties with Vietnam. Recalling the outcomes of the summit talks between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Vietnam's To Lam, held in Pyongyang last October, both foreign ministers concurred on the importance of deepening engagement and cooperation in diverse areas, as well as enhancing strategic communication and mutual support between their respective external policy organs. This high-level interaction underscores continued efforts by Pyongyang and Hanoi to reinforce their relationship, building on the momentum from President Lam's significant visit last year, which was the first by a Vietnamese top leader in 18 years. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.